Go inside the Crimson Tide. Tider Insider TV with Rodney Orr and Gary Harris.
The Alabama men's basketball team playing in Gainesville tonight. A share of the SEC regular season championship on the line. These two teams, of course, played in Tuscaloosa back in 2002, the last time Alabama won the regular season SEC title. Tonight, Anthony Grant facing his mentor, Billy Donovan, right now with about 8 minutes to go in the first half. Alabama on top of the 14th-ranked Gators, 16-15. We'll update you throughout the show. And our first take tonight is a first look at the new Nick Saban statue. This picture is courtesy of TideSports.com and the Tuscaloosa News. It will hopefully be unveiled on A-Day. That's not final, but there you see the coach staring right back at you. And with that, we say good evening, everybody, and welcome in to another edition of Tider Insider TV presented by Buffalo Rock. Tonight, we're enjoying ice-cold Diet Pepsi alongside Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com. I'm Gary Harris, and Rodney, on Sunday, well, the entire weekend, Julio Jones got everybody talking at the NFL Combine up in Indianapolis. His broad jet was the best among the receivers, over 11 feet, third best in Combine history. He ran the third best 40-yard dash at the combo, 4.39. And Monday, we found out he did all this with a broken foot, including a 38-inch plus vertical leap. Jones is going to have surgery and will then have about 8 weeks to rehab. The injury is not expected to affect his draft status. And why should it? If anything, Rod, this ought to enhance his draft status. All it does is reiterate what we already knew based on his experience here at Alabama. This guy is tough as a two-penny nail. He'll take a licking, keep on ticking. He'll play hurt. And ultimately, isn't that what the NFL is looking for in its star players?
Yeah, no question about it, Gary. First thing I thought about was, it's just like you mentioned, it reiterated, emphasized the things that he had done here at Alabama. If you remember the Tennessee game his freshman year, injured shoulder, played most of the game with one arm, made some big catches in that game. And, that's Julio Jones, Gary. It's not just the things you see, but it's the things you don't see, the things, the toughness, the intangibles that he brings. And, he's a great leader, too, and certainly a team player. Of
course, they always say, evaluators do, if you want to know about a football player, go to the tape. But what this Combine performance has done is they went into the Combine, I think most people on their board had A.J. Green of Georgia #1 at wide receiver, Julio Jones at #2. I think now a lot of these guys, a lot of these NFL talent evaluators are re-evaluating. There's a chance. Now, I still think Green will probably go ahead of Jones, but there's a chance Julio might be the first receiver taken. He's giving them something to think about. You're talking about a guy, 220 pounds, moving like that, as physically as he is. That's hard to beat.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. The thing about it, though, is that what's really interesting, Gary, is the fact that Green hasn't had a bad performance.
Right.
It's just Julio's been off the charts.
All right, they're both great players. We do know that. All right, Mark Ingram performing as well, and about what we expected. We know he's not the fastest guy in the world. He had an average 40-yard dash time, although his 10-second split was very, very fast. And that's what you get with this guy. You get quickness and power, not necessarily breakaway speed. But the bottom line with him is you get production. He can block. He can run it. He can catch it. He's a complete football player and is going to be the first running back taken in the draft.
Yeah, and there's more to it than 40 speed. We know that, Gary. And, a lot of great backs don't run great 40s. You remember Emmitt Smith? He might have ran a 4.6, 4.65. Sean Alexander, his junior year at Alabama, was timed here at 4.73 by the pro scouts. Probably was a 4.6 guy. But, it's about more than just straight-ahead speed.
All right, another guy that showed out a lot like Julio. Marcel Darius came in as the #2 defensive tackle behind Nick Fairley. Now a lot of people are saying he has leapt past Fairley. He weighed in at 319 pounds. Fairley at 291, the same height. I think that caught people off guard. Fairley listed at 6'5". They both came in at 6'3". And at 319 pounds, he ran the 40 under 5 seconds. This guy's explosive, big trunk. Both are great football players. But again, Darius giving the scouts something to think about. And there's some chatter now that he might be the #1 overall pick by the Carolina Panthers.
That'd be unbelievable. You look at Marcel Darius, Gary, you talk about that 40 speed, but let's look at what's really important, that first 10 yards, that first step. He ran a 1.66, which was phenomenal. So, again, he helped himself.
And he is a tremendous football player, a high-character young man, tremendous work ethic. He's hungry. He's going to be a really, really good football player. All those guys are going to be great football players, and all of them help themselves with good performances at the NFL Combine. And by the way, let's go ahead and say this. He says it's Darius.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he said everybody's called him Darius for as long as he can remember, but he did tell people at the interview podium at the Combine, it's Marcel Darius.
Well, Tony Dorsett used to be Dorsett.
Once they get ready to go to the NFL, the name always changes, it seems like. Now, Greg McElroy did not get to throw with the quarterbacks at the Combine because of a broken hand, but he once again proved that when it comes to IQ, he's off the charts. He reportedly scored 48 out of 50 on the Wonderlic Intelligence Test. That's the second highest score of all time. That's the exam administered at the NFL Combine. It must be completed in 12 minutes. Now, the only college player to ever score higher, Pat McInally. You'll remember him, tight end from Harvard, went on to play for the Cincinnati Bengals. He had a perfect 50. Wow. McElroy said that he was disappointed he didn't get a 50. And on Dan Patrick's radio show, he said today, while Cam Newton is a better athlete, he feels that he is a more practical quarterback in terms of playing in a pro-style offense, dropping back, handling all that. He said, hey, listen, Cam Newton's a better athlete than Peyton Manning. Doesn't make him a better quarterback. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I think what he's saying is true. When you look at what Greg McElroy does, he's your typical pro-style quarterback, drop-back passer. But, the game's changing a little bit, Gary, and the things that Cam Newton can bring to the table with his athleticism, his ability to throw the ball, it's just he's going to have to adjust to the game.
I'm disappointed he didn't get to throw at the Combine. Hopefully, we don't know this for sure, but hopefully he'll be well by March 9th so that he can work out at Alabama's Pro Day and get a chance to throw for the Scouts. All right, as we mentioned at the top of the show, the Alabama-Florida basketball game is going on in Gainesville. And the Tide looking for at least a share of the SEC regular season championship. I guess big picture, Rodney, is this a must-win for Bama? Does the Tide have to get this one to get into the NCAA?
Well, that's what everybody seems to be saying. I mean, you follow it probably as closely as anyone, and what are your impressions?
Well, I'd like to think that they don't have to win this game. I would like to think if they lose here and come back and beat Georgia at home on Saturday, that would be enough to get them into the tournament. But again, with what people are saying nationally, with what Jerry Palm is saying, I think they probably need to win this game tonight.
Well, and I really don't understand it because clearly Alabama's one, as we mentioned last week, one of the top 68, whatever, and it doesn't make sense, but that's the way it kind of happens.
Yeah, but right now RPI, SOS, strength of schedule, all those things are such huge factors now that I don't think the fact that how a team is playing and what they've actually done in terms of their game on the floor carries as much weight as all the numbers that do. So we'll just have to wait and see. Right now, scoring update. Alabama and Florida. It's 20-18 Florida, about 4 minutes to go in the first half. Well, the Alabama women's basketball team concluded its regular season on Sunday with a win at Arkansas. The Tide beat the Hogs 92-79. It was the first time since 2002 that Alabama scored more than 90 points in a conference game. Now Wendell Hudson's team turns its attention to the SEC tournament. They open play Thursday against LSU, and Coach Hudson is feeling good about his chances because his team has been, they've been playing great lately.
We played everybody, and really we feel like we played everybody close enough, and at times they either have won the game or been able to be in the basketball game. So I think that's really going to help us going into the SEC tournament, the fact that we've kind of been on a roll.
Well, still to come on TITV, the Alabama gymnastics team moves up in the rankings. Plus, we'll talk recruiting, including an update on a player from the state of Alabama that some are saying might be the top prospect in the nation, Quan Alexander. Also, we'll get to your phone calls, and to answer your emails, you can give us a ring at 205-348-WVOA. That's 348-9882. Stay tuned. You're watching the show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide, Tider Insider TV, presented by Buffalo Rock Bottling Company. And welcome back to Tider Insider TV. Quick update, Florida has scored again. The Gators lead Alabama late in the first half, 22-18. So once again, the Tide keeping the opposition scoring down, but struggling to score points themselves. Florida up by 4 late in the first half. Well, don't look now, but the Alabama gymnastics team is moving on up. Alabama has jumped 2 spots in the latest national rankings up to number 3. Sarah Patterson's team posted a season-high 197.675 last weekend in Athens against the Georgia Gym Dogs. It's the 3rd straight week Alabama has had its season's best score, so they are really performing at a high level. Individually, senior Kayla Hoffman is ranked 2nd on the vault, and junior Geraldine Stack-Eaton is 2nd on the balance beam. Also, freshman gymnast Sarah DeMeo is the SEC Gymnast of the Week. The SEC Freshman Gymnast of the Week. The SEC Freshman Softball Player of the Week is Jackie Traina. The J-Train has been incredible. In the circle, also at the plate. She had a 3-home-run game this past weekend at a tournament down in Tampa. She's unbelievable. And Alabama baseball, disappointing weekend at the South Alabama Classic. They dropped all 3 games to Southeastern Louisiana, South Alabama, and Central Florida to fall to 4-3 on the season. Well, coming up next, Rodney has his recruiting roundup for tonight, and there's some big names in state this year. We'll have that for you, and also we'll get to your phone calls and emails. Give us a ring, 205-348-9882, or you can email us TITV@WVUATV.com. You're watching Tider Insider, and we're coming right back after this. An update on the big game in Gainesville. Alabama has rallied to take the lead over Florida. All right, Florida leads 23-22. Here's some individual numbers. We've got Trevor Relaford with 6 points. We've got Parsons with 8 for Florida. All right, now it's 24-22 Alabama, I assume is the score. That's what we've got on the screen. And it's neither team has made a three-point shot. Both teams are 0 from the field. So what we know already going into that game is that it's going to be a low-scoring defensive game, and it's lived up to that.
24-24 now.
Okay, 24-24. All right, so we got that out of the way. All right, let's talk recruiting. Let's start with some in-state players, Rodney, that in the class of 2012, Quan Alexander is one of those guys that's just rising with a bullet. We know he's a good player out of Oxford High School, but more and more people are saying that he's one of the top handful of players in the country.
Yeah, no question. I mean, you know, Scout.com has him rated near the top of their board. He told us they have him rated #1 in the nation. But, he's an outstanding player, Gary. There's no question. Highly regarded, highly recruited, already 27 offers. That's amazing. We're talking about just hit March, and he already has 27 offers. And I still think when all is said and done, Alabama's going to be the team to beat for Quan.
All right, good year in state. Of course, good year, as always, in the neighboring states. And South Panola just continues to turn them out. Isaac Gross, just another big, strong, fast linebacker, defensive end type from that football factory over in Batesville.
We had an update on Isaac Gross over a year ago, Gary, talking about he would be a guy to watch for 2012. And he was here on a visit last week. And, he's an excellent player. Another one of those, as you mentioned, the pipeline at South Panola. They continue to produce great players. And Alabama's got a chance, but Ole Miss is always going to be tough. But let me mention another guy on that team, Gary, Deion Mix, only a sophomore, 6'4", 300-pound offensive lineman. Very rarely do you start at South Panola as a sophomore. He started this past season. He's going to be a guy I guarantee you next year Alabama will have a great shot at.
All right, another area that's been producing football players left and right has been Columbus, Georgia. Deion Bonner, one of those lockdown cornerbacks that everybody's looking for.
Yeah, and he plays for Dell McGee, who is a defensive back at Auburn, and Dell McGee's very high on Deion Bonner, said he could play corner or safety. Great athlete, no question about that. Be one of the top players in the state of Georgia next year, and it'll be a dogfight. He's supposed to be here this coming weekend for Alabama's 3rd and final junior day. He told us a couple of days ago he'd be here. So I think Alabama has a shot, but again, he's going to be heavily recruited. All
right, first time we've talked about this prospect on Tider Insider TV. I know you've had some information on him on your website, but Kelvin Rainey out of Yulee, Florida, 6'3", 210. Tight end, linebacker. You think he has to get bigger, but there's no doubt he's an outstanding athlete.
Super athlete. He's such an athlete, to be honest with you, Gary. He's probably better as a tight end right now, but when you project him down the road, he's probably going to be a linebacker. You look at his size, and I think he's suited for that. He'll have to kind of adjust. He's a little bit like Brent Callaway, kind of more of an athlete right now. But I think Alabama's in the mix. We've had an interview with his coach, but again, it's a long way off.
All right, we've hit Alabama, we've hit Georgia, we've hit Mississippi, we've hit Florida. Let's go down to Louisiana for our next prospect.
Yep, we've already had a couple of updates on Travin Durrell from Breaux Bridge, Louisiana. He's got super speed. Gary likes Alabama a lot. In fact, he told us last night that Alabama's his leader right now, and he's going to be a really good prospect in Louisiana.
All right, another good recruiting update, Rodney. And again, before we move on to phone calls, Alabama's off to a fast start for 2012.
9 commitments. We've talked about some of the guys that they have, Gary, and I think they've probably got some guys privately committed, and there's some great ones out there. Jameis Winston from Hueytown, the great quarterback, and Grayson Lambert's another super quarterback that's looking at Alabama very closely. So again, they're in position to have a great year.
And the basketball game at halftime, back where we started. They're tied 30-30, Florida and Alabama. Okay, let's go to the phones. First up tonight is Caleb in Hubbardville. Caleb, welcome into the show. Caleb, you there? All right, Caleb wants to know how is Kellen Williams recovering from his injury.
Well,
offensive lineman at Alabama.
Offensive lineman, was a redshirt freshman last year. And, Gary, he's we'll really find out more, to be quite honest with you, when spring starts on, how he's progressed. And all the guys that have had injuries. I mean, so we kind of, really have to wait until that time, which is just, 3 weeks away?
Yeah, be here before you know it.
Yep.
They'll be looking for some offensive linemen to build some depth All right, let's go to Jasper for our next phone call and talk with Toby. Toby, welcome into the show.
Yeah, how's it going? Guys, I just want to say I love the show.
Thank you.
I just want to get an update on Adrian Hubbard.
All right, Toby, I think we mentioned maybe Adrian last week or a week or two ago, but outstanding prospect out of the state of Georgia, great basketball player in high school, kind of came on late in football, moved around a little bit, but about 6'6", 6'7". I think when he got here, Rodney, probably only about 215 pounds, to be honest with you, but he is adding weight, and I think, based on his athletic ability, if he does what he needs to do in terms of work ethic, he's got a high ceiling and could be a really, really good player down the road.
Yeah, with his speed and athletic ability, his height, his frame to gain weight, get bigger. I mean, it's just a matter of time. And, he's only going to be a freshman, a redshirt freshman next year, so there's plenty of time for him at that outside linebacker spot, whether he plays that or ends up down as a defensive end. It just depends on how much weight he gains, I would guess, but he's certainly an outstanding prospect. And Gary, he does everything you want a guy to do, off the field, so I think that helps him.
All right, good call, Toby. Let's talk to JW. JW, you're on Tider Insider TV. Go ahead, my friend.
I wonder if Trent Richardson's going to have knee surgery.
Not that we know of. I mean, if he's going to, it's news to me. I mean, we know he was a little banged up last year. If he has had anything done, if my thinking is if he was going to have something done, it would have already been done. I don't think they put it off until now. I think what I hear, he's going to be ready to go 100% in the spring. Okay? If there's anything else that I hear, we'll pass it along. But I don't know of anything.
They update you. They update us on those injuries, Gary, and they haven't mentioned that. In terms of a surgery for Trent Richardson. But if it is, Nick Saban certainly is going to have his pre-spring press conference, and he'll mention it then. And
we'll pass it along to you. Let's take an email from Lamar and Brent. It seems to me that Coach Grant's teams make more spectacular plays, such as the alley-oop passes. Is this type play coached or natural talent? Well, you got to have talent to do it, Lamar, and it's both. A lot of plays are set plays, maybe out of a timeout. Well, they'll run a screen, a guy will try to cut back door, and they'll throw him the alley-oop. Most of the time on the fast break, it's just a feel thing. The point guard will see a guy, Mitchell or a Green or somebody that can get out and get up, and he'll toss it up to him and let him throw it down. So it works both ways. But you're right. You've got to have some athletic ability, some jumping ability, and generally some height to get up and throw it down. Another guy that's great with that is Scenario Hillman, even though he's only 6'1". All right, stick around. More of your phone calls and emails when we come back. You can give us a call, 205-348-WVUA, or email us, TITV@WVUATV.com. Tider Insider TV on a beautiful night in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. It's coming right back. All right, notice again tonight this beautiful shirt, another original elephant wear shirt from the Locker Room in Tuscaloosa, located on the University Strip. We want to thank them for providing us with original elephant wear. The Locker Room has been a Tuscaloosa tradition for 46 years, actually going on 47 now. It's the home of the original elephant wear. Rodney and I visit with Alex and Rush and the folks all the time, Monday through Saturday. Stop in, tell them you want an elephant wear shirt or tie or pullover or a pair of pants. They can hook you up, or you can check them out online at www.locker-room.biz. You can browse their inventory and even order off of the internet. The Locker Room, since 1964, the home of the original elephant wear for the last year or so. It's taken Tuscaloosa by storm. All right, let's go right back to the phones tonight. We've got a couple of callers holding, and let's talk with Carl in Tuscaloosa.
How you doing?
Hey, Carl, how are you?
Roll Tide.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Do you have any details on how Julio Jones broke his foot?
We do not, Carl. As a matter of fact, nobody had a clue going into the combine that it was broken. I mean, after the way he performed, I don't think anybody knew. And I guess the only thing I can think of, maybe it was giving him some pain, or there was some kind of post-workout physical that he took, and they found the fracture. But now you're thinking to yourself, Rodney, what would he have done if he didn't have the hurt foot, huh?
No telling.
But it's a good performance. Hey, he's going to be fine, Carl. Like I said, he may not be able to perform. I guess won't be able to perform at Alabama's Pro Day, but with the numbers he put up at the Combine, the career he had at Alabama, I think he's willing to stand on that and has a very good chance of being a top 10 pick in the first round of the NFL Draft. Let's go over to Oxford. We talked about Quan Alexander already. Let's talk to Shane now in Oxford. How are you, buddy?
Doing pretty good.
Go ahead, Shane.
Yeah, the question was, want to know if Robbie Green was going to be back for sure.
Certainly supposed to be, Shane. I think, they'll welcome him back with open arms, and I think, his experience will be valuable back there joining with Mark Barron.
No doubt about it. All right, we're going to go over to Cottondale now, just down the road from Tuscaloosa, and talk with Tracy. Tracy, welcome into the show. Tracy, you there? All right, Tracy wants to know about tapes of the old Coach Bryant show. Yeah, they're around. You know, if you just want to watch some of them, just go to YouTube and type in Coach Bryant or Coach Bryant Show, Bear Bryant Show, and some will pop up. As far as how you would acquire those, I have no idea. But you might want to check with the folks at the Bryant Museum. They might could help you out. Or like I said, if you just want to watch some clips, you can find them on YouTube. All right, got an email right now. Rodney, I was just wondering how South Carolina could sign 32 players when the SEC has a 28-player cap. Well, the answer is they back count some of those and so forth, Rodney, but you can go into more detail.
Yeah,
they find ways to get around those numbers.
Well, some of them counted towards last year, so they didn't go on the 28. Plus, I think they ran a guy or two off. And I say I ran it. That's probably not fair, but they told them they would have to sign them later.
But it is.
To get eligible.
Technically, though, you can't sign with 28 calendar year, and that's what they did.
Right.
Even though they signed 32 total, some back counters and stuff like that. All right, thanks for the phone calls and emails. Coming up, we'll have a quick update on the Tide and Florida right after this. Stay with us. Update on the game at Florida. The Tide and the Gators still tied at half. They haven't started the second half. 30-30. Alabama 0 of 3 from three-point range. No surprise there. But Florida 2 of 12. Overall field goal percentage. Alabama 12 of 22, 55%. Florida 11 for 30, 37% turnovers. Alabama has 10. Florida has 6. Tony Mitchell and Jamichael and Relford 8, 6, and 6 respectively. Chandler Parsons has 8 for the Gators. Okay, time for dinner tonight. Rodney, we're heading over to one of our favorite places, the Pottery Grill in Northport. Going to chow down on some of that great barbecue. And don't forget, if you missed any of tonight's show, there's only one place that you can catch it on our website, WVUATV.com. We'll have it posted later this evening, so check it out. So that's going to do it for tonight's program. For Rodney Orr, I'm Gary Harris. This has been Tider Insider TV, and we'll see you next week.